We are constantly putting people that we deem as attractive in the forefront. We're constantly allowing them to get all these opportunities. We're constantly making them popular, constantly making them famous. Saweetie is a classic example of the mixed race women that the Black community likes to fetishize and praise simply based off of the way that they look. Everybody wants to have huge plump lips, and I really just don't get it because it does not look good on everyone. So I don't know why everybody is going up in there telling the doctor to inject that stuff in their lips to make it look plumper, because it does not look good on you, baby. But I know for a fact that if Lizzo got up on that stage and was behaving like Saweetie, y'all would drag her through the mud. Hey guys, what's up? It's Cam. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we are going to be diving a little bit into Pretty Privilege. We're going to be talking about the whole Saweetie situation with her iHeartRadio Jingle Ball Festival performance and kind of how Pretty Privilege is playing a role in our society today. Now, I'm not going to make this too much of a deep dive because I do eventually want to make a full-on video about Pretty Privilege, but I do want to just kind of dissect it just a hair so we can kind of understand why Saweetie is able to get away with so many bad performances, one after the other, after the other, after the other. So before we get into this video, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel, click the bell notification so you can be notified whenever I post, and also if you want to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on all of my social media. Everything will be on the screen and linked down below. And without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing that I want to start this video off by saying, Saweetie is a bad performer. Now, does that mean that Saweetie is a bad person? Does that mean that she's completely failing at her job? No, but I do want to point out the fact that Saweetie is not the best performer, and I think a lot of people are starting to see this and notice this, especially after she has been consistently having really bad live performances. If you don't know, she recently performed at the iHeartRadio Jingle Ball Festival, and it was kind of bad. And the reason why I say that is because most of the entire time she was out of breath. It didn't seem like she took the choreography very seriously. It didn't seem like she could really keep up with the choreography and keep up with singing or rapping her songs that she was performing. It just kind of ended up turning into a hot mess where by the end of it, she was just doing the classic twerking and using sex appeal to kind of save the performance. And a lot of people were upset. Blacktober was low-key kind of dragging her, but that's mostly because of the fact that Saweetie has been able to get away with really bad performances for a really long time, and I think people are catching onto it, or at least they're starting to catch onto it. And a lot of people were calling it out, and we're trying to talk about it from the perspective of the reason why she's able to get away with it so often and has been able to get away with it so much in the past is because she's an attractive girl. She has pretty privilege. Now, my big question is the only reason that she's gotten this far is because the fact that she's pretty and that she might have pretty privilege? I think so. And while I truly believe that Saweetie has amazing marketing and her team have done very, very well at bringing hype around her and just marketing herself and building up a brand to where people are willing to come and look at her and watch her and at least hear what she has to say. But the one thing that I find very interesting is the fact that Saweetie herself has actually denied the fact that she benefits from pretty privilege. But I'm pretty sure that she actually said that pretty privilege, in her opinion, does her more harm than it does good. And while I think that that is complete BS, I think I can understand where she's coming from. But I do want to point out the fact that Saweetie is an artist. She has built her brand off of being a female rapper. One thing about the music industry, especially if you are a female and especially if you're a female rapper these days, is live performances. The girls have to be giving, and they have to be giving consistently, and that's something that Saweetie just does not do. I think a lot of us forget that live performances is actually a really big part of being an artist, a rapper, a singer. And if you notice, the girlies that are doing live performances the best are the ones that are the most popular, or the ones that are gaining the most popularity, and the ones that are pushed out more, because not only are they able to deliver the music and deliver that sort of content, but whenever they go and perform these songs that they put out there and that have done really well, the live performance that goes with that music is what continue to hype up their fan base and hype up the crowd and continue to get a lot of good buzz going around them. And that is a large part of the reason why they're able to continue to stay so popular, because these award shows and things like that will continue to book them and continue to give them the opportunity to perform live, which will continue bringing their fans in. And the more you give good performances, basically the more you're able to do more performances and potentially give more good performances. Really hope that's making sense. And in my opinion, the only way that you can get away away with not doing like insanely good performances is if you have exceptional talent or if you're just extremely pretty. I just want to talk about the reason why I feel like Saweetie is kind of almost like a glorified influencer over someone that is an actual like female artist. Her performances are not only lackluster, but her music is kind of lackluster. She doesn't do as many live performances as someone like a Doja Cat or someone like a Meg Thee Stallion, and even in her more prime days as someone like Lizzo, which we'll get into that a little bit later. But she doesn't put out a lot of music all the time, and most of the music that she does put out is not just like Saweetie's music. Usually it's in collaboration with another artist, and the fact that she's kind of not really that huge on the rap scene and the music industry and that side of it. What Saweetie is really good at is marketing, something that I mentioned a little bit earlier in the video. She has done an excellent job, and her team has done an excellent job at building her brand, and a lot of the fame that she gets is through all of these brand deals that she does, and it kind of is very, very similar to an influencer, how they start to get more popular. They get all these brand deals, they're able to connect with these different companies and get all of these products and basically like promote it as a walking commercial almost. A prime example is that she just got finished with her McDonald's deal, and that was like this really, really huge thing. So when it comes to Saweetie, I almost feel like music is like a back burner type of job. Her main focus is the brand deals and the promotions, and then after that comes music. And so from her performances, it really doesn't seem like she takes music that easily. But again, she gets away with not being as serious about it as some of her counterparts because of the way that she looks. Alright, so let's talk about pretty privilege. So I am of the pretense personally that pretty privilege definitely exists, and it is very, very prevalent in our society, especially with the rise of social media. Now, from my perspective, pretty privilege includes so many different things like colorism, texturism, featureism, the type of body that you have. Literally almost everything under the sun goes into pretty privilege, and I don't necessarily think that only certain people that look one type of way can benefit from pretty privilege. I think there are an array of people that can benefit from it no matter how you look, as long as you are deemed to be attractive by a majority of the society. Because my thing is this, we are conditioned to view people based off of how they look first and foremost before we get into anything beyond that. It's very superficial in the way that we just kind of automatically assume certain things about people based off of their face and based off of the way they look, whether they are attractive or whether they're technically considered ugly or whatever. And the fact that ugliness is associated with such negative connotations, such as being mean, such as being evil, jealous, all types of stuff, blase, blase, blase. And the way that we have pretty much geared our society towards attractive people has been a main driving factor for the reason why pretty privilege is such an important role into a lot of the things that we are seeing in the media today. So I want to talk about pretty privilege as a social currency, because a lot of people that I have seen when talking of the conversation of pretty privilege is if you have it, use it. Like if you got it, you might as well use it because you're just wasting it if you're not going to benefit from all that it has to offer. So if you are conventionally attractive and if you are deemed by a majority of society as being very attractive, having pretty privilege, then you can use that in order to get specific gains in certain things and advantages and opportunities over other people in our society. And it also helps you build status. When I think about this, I really think about someone like Lori Harvey, where she doesn't really have much under her belt as far as accolades, but she's able to social climb because of the way she looks. She's able to date people that are high earning, and she's able to climb the ladder and use her attractiveness to her benefit in order to really get up there without having to put that much work behind it. And like I said before, I think we as a society are very superficial in that we judge people based off the way they look, but a lot of people don't talk about the fact that we also judge people based off of what they have as well. Because I truly believe that someone can be extremely gorgeous, but if they don't have the means in order to make themselves really look their best, in order to maintain the upkeep that it takes to be attractive 24/7, then they're gonna end up being treated like somebody who's just average looking or even ugly, and they're gonna be passed over. Like nobody's gonna give them a second thought, because when you're able to put money into upkeeping yourself, into always being presentable, and to always making sure that you look your best and that you look top tier, people are going to take that into account. It almost reminds me of like any celebrity really. Whenever they go out, whenever they're on these award shows, whenever they're on social media, all of that, they look super, super done up, but then pictures come out of them, whether it's by paparazzi or maybe they decide to take a picture of themselves and upload it to the internet, where they're not wearing makeup, and you can really tell the difference. A lot of them look just like you and me, but they're able to afford the best skincare, they're able to afford the best makeup artists, they're able to get people to professionally edit their photos in Photoshop and do all of this, they're able to afford the best lighting for their photos videos and things like that so that they can look more enhanced all of the time, or at least whenever they're presenting themselves to us on social media. And I think a lot of it is stuff that we don't even notice. We just assume that they look the way that they look all the time just because that's what we see whenever we see them through social media or whenever they're on TV and things like that. And to continue pushing this conversation a little bit forward, I want to talk a little bit about pretty privilege and today's beauty standards. Now, obviously, when we're talking about attractiveness and whether people are considered pretty or ugly, whatever the case is, we have to talk about beauty standards because they are forever changing. It's a constant evolution. 5 years from now, we're not going to be the same beauty standards that we have today. It's always going to change and it's always going to be constantly evolving. Things that were deemed as being pretty and beautiful, whatever, a little while ago, a few years ago, are not the same things that are considered to be pretty and beautiful and attractive right now. So we kind of have to look at things that we're seeing now and the things that we're around or surrounding ourselves with that are forming our perceptions of attractiveness. And I think one of those things, or actually a few of those things, we have the rise of the BBL, which I think is a major influence. Like the slim, thick body type has kind of been on the rise for quite a few years now, but really I think in 2021 especially, we saw the rise of the BBL, which is just really having a nice, voluptuous butt, but just like for no reason, just to have it. And I think people who have body types that are geared towards that or that cater to that specific shape are going to be automatically deemed as a little bit more attractive than somebody who might be shaped like a rectangle or somebody that might be shaped like an inverted hourglass. Child, I don't know. But we also have to take a look at the other excessive forms of plastic surgery that we have been seeing recently. One of those things that I really want to point out is the fact that everybody seems to have lip filler nowadays. Everybody wants to have huge plump lips, and I really just don't get it because it does not look good on everyone. So I don't know why everybody is going up in there telling the doctor to inject that stuff in their lips to make it look plumper, because it does not look good on you, babe. But everyone wants to have it, and that's kind of one of those signs and features that you can enhance in order to make yourself be more attractive by today's beauty standards. In addition to all of this, we also have to talk about the makeup trends and the popularity of certain makeup techniques, because that plays a huge role too. Like, some people may not be as comfortable going under the knife and getting certain work done, but they can definitely enhance themselves through makeup. And one of those ways is having the extreme contouring of the nose, having that like cute little button nose highlight that I've seen a lot of people doing. You've got people overlining their lips in order to give it a more full effect. And all of these things kind of play a role in giving people an advantage and people being able to enhance their look in order to possibly benefit from pretty privilege. Because one thing that I do know is that the algorithm takes to people that are more pretty. And in a day and age where everything is based off the algorithm, where everyone wants to be famous, where everyone wants attention in the spotlight, where everybody wants to have some sort of recognition, you have to be somewhat attractive and you have to look good in order for the algorithm to want to pick you up and boost you and push you to cause you to go viral. What we're seeing a lot of now is pressure for people to always look their best in order to get positive attention. So now that we have covered all of that, the one thing I will say about this situation is, and I feel like a lot of people have said this and I completely agree, in the case of Saweetie and her terrible live performances, not only are people starting to wake up and realize that she's a really bad performer and she's not that great of an artist, but we've been letting her get away with it because of the fact that she just looks really good and she looks really attractive and pleasing to the eye. But one thing I will say about it is the fact that because of Saweetie's level of attractiveness and because we allowed her to get away with not actually being a decent artist, it has kind of shed a light onto some other artists who really work super hard and actually do deliver great performances that would not be able to get away with the same thing that Saweetie has been able to get away with simply based off of how they look. And one of those people is Lizzo. Lizzo is a plus size girl. She's beautiful and she is not considered to be the ideal based off of today's beauty standards, but Lizzo kills it on stage, never misses a beat, has amazing breath control, can dance her butt off. But I know for a fact that if Lizzo got up on that stage and was behaving like Saweetie, y'all would drag her through the mud. And even if it was just once, Lizzo could have 10,000 great performances and have one off performance like the one that Saweetie had at the iHeartRadio Jingle Ball Festival, and y'all would never ever let Lizzo live something like that down. Another person that comes to mind, y'all would never let someone like Meg Thee Stallion live that down as well. And it seems like people that are not the peak of the beauty standard and that do not fully 100% benefit from pretty privilege for whatever reason are not able to get away with as much simply because they are not deemed as attractive enough. Like, we're not gonna give them a pass because they're not cute enough, or their looks are not gonna be distracting enough to you in order to let them get away with certain things that you wouldn't let someone who is not as pretty get away with. And in my personal opinion, it's really sad to see that certain artists are able to get away with far more than someone who has more talent is able to get away with simply based off of the way that they look. Because the industry, and by by the industry, I mean like celebrities, influencers, especially people in the music industry, are mostly filled with people that we would consider to be generally attractive. Most, if not all of them. A lot of the time, like I just said, people are willing to overlook a lack of talent just because of the level of attractiveness that someone might have. And another prime example of that is the Kardashians, because we all know they ain't really got nothing going for them other than their faces and their bodies. And that's the prime reason why they were made famous in the first place. Let's talk about the Black community for a second, because I really think this is important to bring up, especially in the conversation of pretty privilege. I think people like Saweetie are exactly who the Black community tends to put up on pedestals, because dare I say that Saweetie can't even rap? Dare I say that she's not even really that good of a music artist? She's really just a pretty face who is able to use marketing in a way to build her brand, to boost her up in the way that she has. And it has benefited her in an amazing way. Something that I haven't really seen necessarily before. But if we're talking purely about looks, Saweetie is a classic example of the mixed race women that the Black community likes to fetishize and praise simply based off of the way that they look. Because of course, she has the light skin, she has the loose texture hair, she can do the swoop with her edges, and all is right. You throw a little bit of AAV in there, you throw the slim, thick body type in there, and boom, she's heavily embraced by us right off of the bat. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but I think a lot of the times we don't realize that we give pretty privilege a lot more power than it actually has to have. We are constantly putting people that we deem as attractive in the forefront. We're constantly allowing them to get all these opportunities. We're constantly making them popular, constantly making them famous. And we're the ones who are pushing them and are making them feel like being pretty can be seen as a privilege or used as a social currency and used to be able to advance further than others and get more opportunities than other people. It kind of blows a little air into some people's heads, and I really think it's interesting to see the people that realize that they have a sort of pretty privilege versus people that are attractive that don't necessarily realize that their prettiness is giving them certain benefits. So before we end this video, I feel like it would be wrong to not speak on the dangers of pretty privilege, because I know a lot of people talk about the ways that it benefits people, and you know, you get these opportunities, you have these benefits, all this blase blase. But a lot of people don't talk about the fact that sometimes pretty privilege can actually be a hindrance of where, you know, sometimes people don't think you deserve things and they think you only get things because you're pretty. And yes, while sometimes that may be the case, not all the time. I think a lot of the times people that are attractive struggle with being validated in their smarts, in their skill, in their talent because of the way that they look. But I think two things can coexist at once. I don't think you necessarily have to only be pretty, only smart, or only be pretty, only be talented. I think they can coexist, but I think what we're seeing in the case of Saweetie and in Saweetie's situation is the fact that she has been able to get away with far more things in the industry because of the way she looks and because of the fact that she's pretty. And I think we are all under the same pretense that people who are less attractive than Saweetie, artists that are not as attractive as Saweetie or do not benefit from the same level of pretty privilege as Saweetie does, would not have been able to get away with such bad performances and for being a lackluster artist for this long. I think we can all agree about that. So that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have anything that you want to say in rebuttal to what I've said or anything you want to add to the conversation, please do not be afraid to comment it down below in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you never miss another one of my videos. And also, if you want to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on all of my social media. Everything will be on the screen and linked down below. Also, if you made it this far in the video, comment this emoji, I'll put it on the side. Comment this emoji so I can know that you made it to the end of this video. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.